Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective. Happy Monday. How was everybody's weekend? I hope you all had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Welcome back to self-love lessons. We are on lesson number 4 of 30 today. But first, I'm going to start with the affirmators deck. If you're new, I've been pulling a card, one of these, instead of the guidance cards in the morning. I haven't looked at them. They have been shuffled. And that should get us through the first 22 days. And then we'll go right to the lessons. So, lesson number 4. So let's see. What card do we have today? Rest. Aw, so cute. Little birdie in his nest. With his teddy bear. So, I take a step away from my stress, and then a deep breath, and then a crankiness killing nap. When I get the rest I need, I instantly become a better version of myself, able to navigate complex relationships in a single bound. When I don't, I'm not, which means I shouldn't, but I try to, and then we can't, and it doesn't, but I did, so it wasn't. Ugh, good night. I know, these are the self-helpy cards without all the self-helpiness, so they're a bit snarky, they're a little bit, they're a little bit snarky, they're a little bit everything. So anyways, sorry. I am actually watching something on my computer right now, so not watching, but I'm watching for something. Okay, so I keep having to refresh, but it's like Comic-Con for movies. But anyways, sorry about this. So I'm a little distracted. But rest. And now, I've talked about this before, that this deck is really about love and relationships, but I figure since we're working on self-love, which is the most important relationship that we will have in our lives, because as I heard on RuPaul's Celebrity Drag Race, I think that's what it's called, as I heard that this weekend, it was the perfect quote. If you don't love yourselves, how the hell can you love someone else? Right? So if you can't love yourself, how the hell can you love someone else? I mean, come on, it's the wisdom of RuPaul. But anyways, so rest. And, that's why I'm using this. Because again, like I said, and I'm going to keep repeating this quote because it is one of the best quotes that I really, really have attached to this 30 days or the 30 lessons of self-love, is Oscar Wilde's "To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance." And it's true because, both of those quotes go so much together. If you can't love yourself, how the hell can you love somebody else? Completely, without worry, but with gratitude, with joy, with true unconditional love. And sometimes that's where rest comes in. When we take the time to rest, I know it can be hard because we like to overthink. We like to just, all these things that go through our heads, right? All these things that just kind of pound at us and cause us to overthink, that cause us to just kind of like, oh my God. And sometimes that can keep us up. So the whole thing is to really kind of buckle down and get that rest that you need. Do your best to get that rest that you need. Do what you have to do to get that rest that you need, because it does help us clear our mind. It does help us get back into a place where we're less cranky, right? So again, and it kind of shows at the bottom of the card, right? I mean, that's how what happens when we're not sleeping. We have all these different thoughts that go rolling through. So I take a step away from my stress, and then a deep breath, and then a crankiness killing nap. When I get the rest I need, I instantly become a better version of myself, able to navigate complex relationships in a single bound. When I don't, I'm not, which means I shouldn't, but I try to, and then we can't, and it doesn't, but I did, so it wasn't. Ugh, good night. Exactly. Because sometimes we will say the wrong things if we're tired, or hungry, or, hangry, I should say, or just, it can cause crankiness on so many different levels when we don't get that rest that we need. So, do what you can to get that rest, because otherwise you end up the cranky pants bird, right? And you don't want to be the cranky pants bird. So, good morning, older sibling and baby sibling. So, let's get to lesson number 4 of self-love. So, we had a good start last week. I was really kind of excited. Even Oracle Friday turned out to be pretty eye-opening. I mean, the romance cards were, which, like I said, I'm not really a fan of doing the romance cards just because I tend to think it'll cause people to overthink that don't normally watch these kind of things, and then kind of force it to fit their lives, and then they get upset when it doesn't work. That's why when I do the oracles on Friday, I do kind of try to point out if it resonates with you, if it gives you the tingles, then, but even that was kind of a little side journey through self-love, about, it was kind of like a bonus lesson for the week of self-love. So all the cards were so interesting because they all seemed to fit together, and that's what was really exciting for me. But yeah, like I said, we seem to have had a strong start for the first 2 weeks, laying the foundations and then going through the first 3 lessons. So today, lesson number 4, what is a compliment that you struggle to accept about yourself? What is a compliment you struggle to accept about yourself? Now, remember what I said. I'm going to reiterate this every day because not everybody may be watching every day, or people may be catching up. Some people may just say, hey, day 4, and, and not watch the other ones, and that's okay. We're guided to what we need. But I'm always going to say this. Well, I'm going to try to always remember to say this. When you ask the question and you come up with your answer, ask one more question, and why? So the first 3 that we had, a lot of them were about limiting beliefs, about struggles, and this one is also about a struggle. And as I've mentioned in the past, a lot of times we just go with our surface answer, and we think, well, this is what I struggle with, but why do you struggle with it? See, we can write something down, but when we actually lift the lid on that and we let the steam off a little bit, we start to say, hey, you know what? Why do I struggle with this? And you might be able to go deeper, and it might go deep enough. Yeah, it might bring up some feelings. It might make you cry. It might make you angry. It might make you happy. But whatever it is, if it's not on the happy side and it's on a struggling side, then you'll be able to start to heal it. Now, the healing process is up to you. How many layers do you have? How much do you have to keep going over this to heal it before it does just kind of like another thing that's happened in your life without bringing up a super lot of feelings? I mean, every so often it will probably bring up the super feels, but the less it does that means the more it's healing. And that's in my perspective. That's in my experience, that the more that it comes up and does the least amount of emotional damage, then I know it's healing. And like I said, that doesn't mean it's not going to give you the feels from time to time. Because, if it's something really bad, you're just learning how to live with it. If it's someone that's hurt you or bullied you or did all this, that, or the other, you're learning to move away from it. You're learning to just be like, you know what? I'm not giving them my power. So again, what is a compliment that you struggle to accept about yourself? So as per usual, I will share mine. I've always kind of struggled with this one because I struggle with a lot, but I would have to say there are 2. And when people call me pretty, and or beautiful, or one of those big adjective words, I think I use that right. My brain is like so melted right now. I feel like I said, I feel like for the last 2 weeks I've been going through like a software update in my head. So like everything's just jumbled in there. But that, and when I'm called charismatic. So when I'm called beautiful, pretty, smart, whatever, or charismatic. Actually, smart used to be a thing, but I'm not dumb. I'm not a genius, but I'm not dumb. I have some knowledge in there, rolling around somewhere in there, while everything's getting organized, like spring cleaning happening in my head. But I would say when people compliment my looks or call me charismatic, and what's interesting is now that I'm kind of working that out in my head and with you guys, I realize that when people call you charismatic, it's kind of like saying you have a beautiful soul. So clearly I struggle with the inner and outer beauty. that people see in me. And I'm not gonna lie. When I look in the mirror, I think, hey, I'm pretty decent. Yeah, you know what? But when other people compliment me, it's like, oh no, no. Or I struggle to be like, or I get embarrassed, or I blush. It's like, thank you. And I don't know why I struggle with that. Um, just to reiterate, I was a lot thinner when I was younger and used to get those compliments as well, but I still get them. So it's not about my size. I think it's more about the worthiness of how I feel when it comes to such a compliment. And I think that's where I struggle. I struggle with the feeling, pretty, or the feeling charismatic, because like I said, because of my trauma, there was like an imposter me running around. Other people have imposter syndrome, feeling like, well, someone's going to figure this out, that I don't know what I'm doing, even though you do. Right? I had a talk with a friend of mine who says, like, he's like, I feel like I'm suffering from imposter syndrome because I feel like one day the people that hired me are just going to figure out he can't do this. But, we talked it through, and I'm like, no, you're fine. I mean, he talked to his wife about it, he talked to me about it, and it was just, trying to work it out in his head. And, this is why we have friends. Friends just sit there and kind of remind you who you are. Good friends remind you of who you are. And not long after that, I was going through that. And my friend was just like, hey, remember what you told me? It's like, okay, you're right. So it's kind of like this nice mentorship in a way that I share with one of my friends, and another friend actually. And I think a lot of times there's going to be certain times when we do struggle with imposter syndrome and have no idea that we're doing it. But growing up, because of my trauma and hiding it from my parents and pretty much everybody I knew, it felt like imposter syndrome. So when people would compliment me, I just felt like I don't deserve this, because they're going to find out that I'm just this hot mess of a shame, of shame and sadness and pain and bleh, all that bullshit, right? All that crap. And it's been hard to work through that. But I remember I was just telling older sibling about this, because, just for anybody who's new, older sibling is one of my best friends. I've known her for a couple of decades now, and but we're like sisters. We're both only children, so we adopted each other, and as siblings. And I was telling her yesterday, on the way home from getting something to eat, I was like, yeah, I was rambling like the whole drive. And I was telling her, I said, yeah, one time I came home and, I just felt so not in tune with myself. I felt it just icky, and I was having a bad day. And I was just like, I told my mom, I said, I said, I hate the fact that I'm so ugly, or something along those lines. And she looked at me with a straight face and just straight out looked me in the eyes and said, I don't make ugly babies. And I think that's the only way she knew how to tell me, don't believe what other people say. But I think she figured if she said it to me that way, that I would get it. And it did sink in. It did sink in. But, I never had a boyfriend in high school. And so I figured, we put all of our worth into what other people think about us instead of what we think about us. That's why I love the Oscar Wilde quote. To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong, romance or relationship. I think it was romance, actually, lifelong romance. And it's true, because as I've mentioned a million times, we are with ourselves every moment of our life. We can't get away from us. And that's not a bad thing. There are some times when we try to get away from us, but why? Why? That's where the why comes in. Why do we struggle so much with who we are that we want to get away from ourselves? If you're suffering from imposter syndrome, look at it this way. We'll use the terms of work, since I've already brought that up. People hired you based on your resume. People hired you and kept you on past your probationary period because they knew you could do the job. That's what probationary periods are for. It's not just to see if they think you can do the job. It's to show you that you can do the job. It's just, it's to give you the opportunity to say, you know what, maybe this isn't for me. That's why most probationary periods are 90 days, at least here in this country, or at least in California. I don't know. Every state has their own law. But in California, it's usually 30 to 90 days. Okay, but mostly it's typically 90 days. And you get that time, your probationary period. And I used to look at it as being, well, if they don't like me, they'll get rid of me after 90 days. But when I was talking to one of my cousins, because she had a position open up, she's all, our probationary period is about seeing whether you think you'll fit and whether we think you'll fit. And I'm like, God, I said, that's like a whole different way of looking at things. It's a whole really good way of looking at things. Is this something I like? Is this something I want to be a part of? Is this something I can handle? And that's the point of those things. And so give yourself maybe that probationary period when people start to compliment you. Tell it to yourself for 90 days. Tell it to yourself for 30 days. Someone gave me a compliment. People don't have to give you a compliment. People, especially random people that you may not even know. They may say, oh, your dress is so pretty, or your shirt is so nice, or wow, you look great in that, or oh, hey, you smell really good. It's because you're doing something for yourself, and you're putting out that vibe that says it's okay to compliment me. There may be a lot of people out there who want to give you a compliment, but are afraid to because, maybe that vibe you're letting off is, I hate myself. But that's why we're doing the self-love lessons. Because I don't want you to hate yourself. I want you to find that love for yourself that you may find for somebody else. You may find, or you may be searching for partnerships and someone to be with because you can't love yourself. And so you want someone else to fill that void. And sometimes it works out, but a lot of times it works out with a lot of strain. Because you might be insecure. You might be jealous of something that doesn't exist. Okay, so this is going to be a weird example. But yesterday I was watching a ghosty show on TV. It was, one of those things where they try to make the ghosts look spookier than they actually are. But they were talking about this woman who went to this hotel and still haunts it. And they said she went there to kill herself because she thought her husband was cheating on her. But he wasn't. And they were able to prove that. But she died thinking this. Why she haunts the hotel, no idea. Maybe she found out after she died, oh, whoops, my bad. Maybe I shouldn't have swallowed the sleeping pills. But and I'm not trying to make light of suicide, okay? I'm not, because that is a very serious subject and it's a very personal choice. But the reason I'm mentioning her story is because there was a clear lack of self-love. She didn't love herself to say, you know what, if this person is doing this to me, or if it's a man thinking that, their partner is doing that to them, and they don't have that self-love, they will stay, and they will, burden themselves with this sad feeling instead of saying, you know what, I deserve better. It took me in my second to last relationship that I was in, I caught my boyfriend in a porta potty with a stranger. I know. I don't know why, but that story makes me want to giggle now. It's not funny, but just, it's so gross. I mean, so gross. At a concert. And I felt the shame because a woman was standing out there while I was waiting because I was kind of like, what's happening here? Because I saw him go in there with her. He didn't see me coming out of my stall, out of my porta potty thing. And I know it seems very personal to be sharing this story, but I'm sharing it because that added to my shame. That added to how ugly I felt. And all I could think of when this woman over there says, well, someone's having a good time. And all of a sudden it clicked in my head and I went banging on that door and it's like, get the fuck out of here, out of there now. And the girl ran, but he was looking at me like, And it's like, what did you think was going to happen? And it hurt. It hurt bad. And it's making me itchy. But The reason I'm sharing that is because I carried that shame. I thought there was something wrong with me, you know? And I was just like, I have to walk away from this. And I made a few more bad decisions in that relationship, but they were bad decisions about my self-worth, my self-love. And I rectified those choices I made. And I made good with myself. But it left me insecure. And it left me more insecure than I already was. And it was painful because I thought, wow, this is not the first time this has happened to me. This is definitely not the first time it's happened with this person. And you start to question your value. You start to question, your purpose and what you mean to someone or something, or to a situation. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing my best now to embrace self-love, to know that in any situation, I have to maintain my self-worth. I have to maintain my self-love. I have to remind myself of who I am, what I'm made of, and that, what we deserve. I always joke about and sometimes complain about being single for so long, but it's taken me this long to find who I am. And yeah, that sounds cliche. I know. But if it sounds cliche, and it is cliche, it's fine. Because I'm not ashamed of it anymore. I used to be, because it's been I'm not shitting you guys. It's been a long time. Maybe somewhere in this perspective it'll come out how long I've been single. I've mentioned it once or twice, so if you watch this show religiously, you will know. But it's also sadly taken me that long to learn how to love myself. As I've mentioned, this is not the first time I've done this. This is the third time I'm doing this. And this time I think it's going to stick because I'm starting to understand the question. I'm not just giving the superficial answer that comes off the top of my head and writing it down and saying, okay, done. I'm actually putting thought into it. And that's why I asked everyone who is doing this to really grab a journal or to grab a piece of paper or to grab a notebook. I just used a spiral notebook. I'm into a journal now because I'm actually doing a project as I head to my next birthday. But about a project of empowerment. But it's because I want people to go into depth. I want people to really kind of sit there, hear the question, give their answer, and ask the second question, which will always be why. Why do I feel this way? And I thought it was just the trauma I struggled with when I was growing up. My secret I had hid from my parents. But it wasn't just that. It was the bullying I got in school. Because I was quiet. Because nobody knew what I had been through and what I was going through and how quiet I was. Because I just was always so afraid that it would just slip out. Like something, I would say something. Or just because I just felt unworthy of being around people. Because I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't like myself. I didn't love myself in any stretch of the imagination. And because of that, I made bad choices. Because I thought, well, I can't love me. So maybe if I keep finding people, maybe they will. And I wasn't very discerning in choosing the partners. And, some of them did cheat on me. One of them did it so openly, it was just sad. And I don't feel that shame. I used to feel that shame, like, why would I put myself through that? But I look at them now as lessons. I look at them now as me saying, you know what? This is what you deserve. And it's me telling you the same thing. You deserve to be happy. Don't judge yourself by who you used to be. Don't judge yourself at all. But look at yourself and appreciate you and love yourself. Yeah, we all make some sketchy decisions in life. It's life. How else are we going to learn? How else are we going to grow? Don't punish yourself for the decisions you've made. Period. I don't care which side of the bar you sit on with the story I just told. Don't punish yourself for the decisions you've made. Because you may not be that person anymore. So what you're doing is you're punishing yourself for the person you may have been once. Before you grew. Before you became who you are today. Focus on who you are today. Don't worry about who you were yesterday. Maybe you lost your shit 2 days ago and you're still feeling bad about it. Hey, if you're able to apologize to the person you lost your shit to, do it. If not, just let yourself off the hook. That's self-love. That's the desirable characteristic that we're looking for, to remind ourselves that, hey, I'm human. And, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to make weird decisions. I'm going to make decisions that may not fit who I am. But then today is a new day. So be better today. Okay, so one last time, what is a compliment that you struggle to accept about yourself? Answer it and then ask why. All right, so I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll see you back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time on Facebook Live. It's under Shelly Marie Lucas. All lives are public, so you can watch, even if we're not friends. So anybody can watch, or you can catch the replay on YouTube under the Aloha Perspective with Shelly Marie Lucas. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day today. Thank you so, so much for watching. And please, again, when you're answering these questions, do it honestly. And then ask yourself why. And if that doesn't feel like it's resonating, keep asking yourself why until the answer does. Okay, so again, I'll see you back here tomorrow for lesson number 5. Have a great day.